I'm with Rosemary Hurwitz, and we're talking about her journey to healing her mental health issues. We call this episode Learning Who You Are Meant to Be. Next, we're going to explore the deep emotions she felt and how she moved through them while she struggled with clinical depression. I am always honored to share these inspiring stories like Rosemary's. These women have figured out how to move through life's inevitable trials and tribulations and come out on top in triumph. They help us to know we are not alone when our own world turns upside down. So Rosemary, thank you so much for openly sharing this dark time in your life. I truly believe that while our life stories may be different, we still can connect with the emotional journey and learn. So tell us more about that part of your journey, would you?
Sure. I mean, I'm trying to put a word on it because shaky is the word that comes to mind. You're not everybody feels anxiety that way, but that's how I felt it. And some people eat, and I couldn't eat. And there's all different ways it manifests, but I couldn't sleep. And that's also, if you're not sleeping well, that's something that can be a sign that, your higher self is trying to help you work and find out and move through things. So shaky, anxious, wake up in the morning with that kind of sick stomach. Restless. You can't kind of settle in. You can't center very well. You might have moments of centering during the day, but not too many. I don't know. I couldn't give a number on any of that, but it's just, call it way more disconnected than connected. You're beside yourself. You are not yourself. You are, and that could manifest in other ways, right? It could be anger. It could be all sorts of emotions. But for me, it was a lot of sadness and a lot of blue and a lot of crying and a lot of curling up in the fetal position, wanting to just sort of sleep or pull the covers over my head. But then when I would do that, I couldn't. So then it's like, oh, great. Now what do I do? And years ago, years later, I learned from a therapist that this was so powerful for me to give the anxiety the floor for 5 minutes to say, okay, so have at it. Tell me everything I'm afraid about. Tell me everything be the monster that you want to be for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to get moving. And then you won't have the floor anymore. And that was so powerful for me. And I did that later on after I told you I had one other fall in my whole life. And I'm in my early 60s now. So or getting to be mid 60s. So I couldn't get past the grief when I lost a baby in the middle of a pregnancy. It was very hard. And it wasn't right from the beginning, but I, being an optimist, would always hope that it would be. And as a mother to be the second time, I sure wanted it, but it wasn't meant to be. And it was very hard. So I kind of ran back to that Dr. Bond, and he helped me, but he was away. So sometimes we did phone sessions or what. We didn't have this Skype or Zoom in those days. So I met this other woman, and she was my Madonna, and she was so helpful, and she's the one who taught me that, Donna. And I used that. I did do something like that early on in the college experience, but I didn't know how to do it as well. So getting busy, would help that anxiety. You know, in a psychiatric hospital, they have occupational therapy where you keep your hands busy. They have group therapy where you're not alone. And you share about things. That's very powerful in healing because you know you're not alone. One day I remember having this big aha moment over the fact that even though I came through this family that I came through, and they loved me, don't get me wrong, they were really good parents. They just had 6 kids in 9 years and ran a tight ship, and I got lost in it a little bit. But I remember saying, I'm unique. Like, I got this big aha moment about being unique. And it separated me from, in other words, my story was different than me. And I got that. And I'm getting goosebumps just saying it right now. Because it's so very true, and we miss it. We miss that in our lives sometimes. Even though the people that we are so connected to and love us and do the best they can, we are still, it didn't say that needlepoint thing, what I am is my, or what was it? What I am is God's gift to me. What I become is my gift to my parents. Doesn't say what my gift to my siblings. It says my gift to God. So God is for me central. And that's what I had to learn too. But I did learn it. And some of the other emotions, I mean, were just devastation. You know, they had anger. They had me rip newspapers apart. I remember one time and swear, and I got to say the F word, which of course I never could say in my own house, but my father would say it. But I couldn't say it, you know. So I was angry at them, you know, because why didn't you give me more and shore me up stronger so I could deal with this when I'm 18, you know, a college freshman? Why did I have to be the one? You know, you get into the why me stuff. So you got to get all that anger out. And that was okay too, because I learned to forgive them. And my parents were really, really good for the time that they came. I mean, my dad was in a time where if guys went to a therapist, men went to a therapist, they were weak. You know, so they didn't have the same kinds of gifts that we all have. And so I did for sure forgive them and made big peace, and I loved them very much. So anyway.
Yeah. You said so many very powerful things. And one of them is a lesson you learned, which we're going to get to in the next segment as well, but we're going to hear more about those. But I love the technique to let the anxiety have the floor for 5 minutes. We could replace that word anxiety with any of the other emotions that we might feel that are tempting to derail us, right? Yes. It could be fear, right? Give the fear 5 minutes. Give the sense of overwhelm 5 minutes.
Give the sadness.
Give the sadness 5 minutes. I love that. That is a technique that we can all take to heart, and I'll bet you we can put into practice almost in our daily lives. Just give it 5 minutes, and then you take the floor.
Because when you name it, there's this little saying I do with my clients: you name it, you claim it, you tame it. So if you're in your shadow where you don't know what's going on and you just keep fighting. I remember Dr. Vaughn said that to me. You know, you were fighting it a lot. So if you fight something, it controls you. Right. If you fight something, it just follows you. But if you say, okay, I see you, I hear you, I'm not afraid of you. I mean, I kind of am afraid of you, but go ahead, have at it. And then there's something you take away its power a little bit.
A lot, I think. I think you take away its power entirely when you acknowledge it, you allow it to be, you understand what it's there for, right? Right? Yeah. Those emotions are here to help us in a lot of ways to learn. But right. Then when we don't allow them to take control, when we stop resisting, you know, with all our might, we stop resisting and kind of open ourselves up, then things have a way of flowing through us better. I love that. I think you have touched on right. So many beautiful things, Rosemary. I thank you for being so transparent. You gave us a glimpse into why you say you are more healed than wounded now. I love that you say that. And the lessons you learned from this journey have carved a path for you to help others heal. And in our next segment, I would like for you to share some of that wisdom with us. Will you do that?
Sure.
Great. So hang in there with us and hear some of Rosemary's tips for the transition.